Doesn't analysis paralysis just kind of stink? You know the feeling. You just get stuck trying to make a choice. Maybe you're waiting for all of the circumstances to align before you start something new. I fall into that particular roadblock all the time. So today, let's talk about good old analysis paralysis. It's basically overthinking to the point where you don't make a choice. You get stuck in the good old what if loop in your head, constantly weighing options, looking for the perfect solution. And because of that, since the perfect solution basically never exists, right? We don't actually move forward, or you can't really even see the future, so you just kind of get stuck. It happens everywhere, right? With me, it's trying to think about like YouTube videos that I want to make. Maybe it's trying to make a career decision or choice. Maybe you're trying to pick a new hobby. Even just figuring out what game to play, right? It can be really tough. And you start putting the weird pressure on yourself to make the right choice. I'm air quoting right choice here. Because you got to start putting pressure on yourself, right? Can't just make a choice. It has to be the right one. Got to optimize all areas, and then you end up just not really doing anything. This is like 6 months ago. I was looking at hotels online. I don't know if any of you have like gone down this rabbit hole, but find a hotel that looks good, start reading the reviews, and all of a sudden, sure, there's a bunch of good reviews, but there's that 1 out of 5 from the dude who got sick from the bacon he ate at the continental breakfast. And you start thinking, oh no, I can't possibly stay there. Let's go look at another hotel. And you start reading those reviews, and yeah, most are good, but 3 months ago, something nasty came out of that drain. Oh no, no good. And I legit went down a rabbit hole of probably like 2 hours looking for hotels when I probably should have stopped reading those reviews, picked some place that looked good and just called it a day. But no, thanks analysis paralysis. Maybe you've been wanting to start a new project or learn a new skill, but you keep holding back because you feel like you're not ready. Maybe you're stuck at work, constantly thinking about the next career move, but you're really worried about making the wrong choice. I see it all the time in creative fields, like making videos, the podcast scene. A lot of times people won't even begin because they're like, I don't have the gear for it. I'm not even going to start until I get it to the production quality that it needs to be. I can't make videos. I need the perfect setup. I see this with YouTube. A few months ago, or I guess it was like a month ago, I made a video encouraging viewers to create, to start a YouTube channel, to make art or music or whatever they're passionate about, and so many amazing comments. But a lot of them said, hey, I don't know what to make. Or nobody really watched my video, so why bother? I made 2 or 3, but it just wasn't there. And that sucks. I'll tell you what, some of the most passionate videos I've ever made land in that beautiful 10 out of 10 spot. If you create on YouTube, it ranks all your videos of the last 10 at 10 of 10. Creators are always disappointed with that. But I will say this. If you're waiting for everything to be perfect, you won't ever start. It's not just YouTube. It applies to literally everything. You've got to be willing to take that first step. And even if it's not perfect, that's the whole point. I've been making videos for 13 years, and every single upload, I learn something. I'm trying to grow and improve every time. I go back and look at like old videos from years ago. I get super like embarrassed and cringe, but Epos Vox has a good thing about this. He's like, hey, if you don't look back at your old work and aren't a little bit critical of it, then you really haven't grown. So it's actually like this good thing. He's found a way to frame it to where, yeah, you've changed, you've improved. Well, the analysis paralysis, I think, is rooted in fear. The fear of making the, air quote, wrong choice. We want to make the best decision possible. That's a good thing. But when we get so caught up in trying to make the perfect decision that you don't make any decision at all, that's just no good. There's also a problem when you have too many choices. I talked about this just recently. Studies have shown that when we're faced with a lot of options, our brain gets overwhelmed, we start overthinking, every little detail, and it's stress, it's indecision. It's no good. And then there's ultimately the perfectionism trait. If you want everything you make or do or whatever to be flawless, you're just going to be really stressed a lot. And you're going to hesitate to act until you feel like you've got all of the answers. So how do you get around this? I try and think about progression versus, perfection. One of the biggest things that's helped me was letting go of the idea that things have to be perfect. It's way more important to make progress, even if it's small, than to be stuck waiting for perfection or some gigantic mile marker. Life is such a moving target, but you can make progress every day if you try to. At work, I used to get really frustrated. There was a period of time where the person making like the strategic choices in the department above me, they're making really silly big choices. And I was frustrated because, man, like you want to do the best work possible. You give your feedback. And then if they make a choice you're not extremely excited about or not that confident with, it's hard to separate the two, to recognize like, hey, you can still do your best work even if you don't really get to control the outcome. And I remember my boss gave me great advice of like, hey, perfectionism is a double-edged sword. Sometimes, you just got to let go of the outcomes that are beyond your control. You still put in your best effort, but you can't go into things wanting it to always be perfect. I've talked a lot this year about limiting your choices. We live in a time with so many options. It can make even small decisions feel overwhelming. Hey, just pick a restaurant, pull up Yelp. Already you're down like a 45-minute rabbit hole, similar to the hotel thing I talked about. For example, instead of trying to decide between 10 different projects that you want to do, just pick 2 or 3 and start putting effort into them. If you're on the YouTube side, like wanting to make a commentary channel like this, go write a commentary. Don't go write 10. Write a commentary and go produce it. And then the next day, go write another one. And every time you learn, try and share what you've learned. Deadlines are also a really helpful thing. Deadlines for goals, for work, for whatever. It gives you a set amount of time to make a decision or complete something. It forces you to act. Without a deadline, it's easy to just keep pushing things off. And you think, oh, well, eventually I'll get to it. Eventually it will get better. With YouTube, there's a reason I really try and upload 3 times a week. Between 2014 and 2017, I did that. And I feel like it is the period of time I grew the most as a creator, not like numbers or whatever, but in terms of making better stuff, making better videos. And obviously there are some longer, bigger projects that I back burner and I work on over the long scale. But when you have a deadline, it forces you to create and to learn and to iterate. If you bite off like this huge 5-hour video essay challenge that takes you a year to edit, I mean, great, but that's going to be really hard to do and to replicate and to stick with. Take small steps. You don't have to make huge life-changing decisions all at once. Sometimes just taking a small step forward is enough to break out of this analysis paralysis. Maybe it's writing the first sentence of the blog you've been meaning to start, signing up for a class, signing up for the gym or whatever. The first step doesn't have to be perfect. It just needs to happen. And finally, be nice and trust yourself. Analysis paralysis, for me, is a lot of self-doubt. You're worried that you'll make the wrong choice. So you end up making no choice at all. But here's the thing, you're going to learn and grow no matter what decision you ultimately make. Not everything will go perfectly, but gaining experience and getting better for the next time, it's way more gratifying than being mean to yourself, right? And just sitting in that self-doubt. Trust your gut. At the end of the day, I think it's about starting and being nicer to yourself. Whether it's making a YouTube video, a new hobby, a big life decision. Stop waiting for the stars to align. Take action. Just start. Thanks for watching. I hope everybody's having a really good week. If you've got any tips or personal stories about overcoming this indecision or the analysis paralysis, I would love to hear about it in the comments. Have an awesome rest of your day. I'll see you again very soon.